Hi, my name is Daudi Mugabi and this is Business Mike episode 9. My guest today is Bernard Wanyama, a co-founder of a Ugandan network and security company called Syntech Associates. In this episode, Bernard shares some of the lessons he's learned from his business, including the importance of doing research. All this and more next on Business Mike. Thank you so much, Bernard, for your time. Could you briefly tell us who you are and what you do?
Thank you, Daudi. My name is Bernard Wanyama. I'm 31 years old. I'm a computer scientist. My job on a day-to-day basis is IT security and network services. I do it under my company called Syntech Associates.
Do you have any business role models? Anyone who inspires you generally for business?
Well, there are quite a number. Every time you meet an accomplished business person, whether in person or online or in a newspaper, you kind of have something to take away from them and some bit of admiration of what they do. But people like the late James Mulwana and people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett really inspire me because I admire the way they do things and their track record and how they continue to sustain their businesses.
Could you briefly tell us a bit more about Syntek? What exactly does Syntek do?
At Syntek, we do IT networking and IT security services primarily. We focus on corporate organizations. Our niche, I would say, has been in the financial services sector. Our job is to come into a client's environment and see what different technologies, what different business needs are there, and make the things work together. And of late, we have specialized in Wi-Fi or wireless networks, and this we're doing on a high-end basis. We do systems engineering and support for clients who have deployed high-end Wi-Fi systems, and we carry products like Ruckus Wireless as our primary solution. On the other side, we also carry Cisco Systems wireless technologies.
With regards to the security, when you go into an organization, do they seek you because they have a security breach, or do you tell them that you have security services? Because how would you convince a company that they need to bulk up their security if all seems to be well?
Well, I think you could characterize the environment in Uganda as one where most people operate on a reactive basis. It's after they've had a breach or an incident that exposes weaknesses in the security system that they would seek to have an intervention or an investment in terms of their IT security program. Now, there are, of course, other clients who approach it from a more proactive angle, and they would actually invite you to come in and do an assessment and do a review and do a penetration test to ensure that they have assurance that their IT systems and the controls that have been implemented on the network and in the different critical systems are able to meet the level of risks and vulnerabilities they face on a day-to-day basis. So it's a mixture of proactive people and also those who are reactive. So justification of security expenditure can be achieved through examining the risks that are being faced by the customer and translating them into monetary value. For example, if you have downtime on a critical service like a mobile money service or online banking or an e-commerce site, because of a security breach, then you're able to say that if this breach occurs, then the potential loss is in this amount of millions of shillings or dollars, and then that is something that customers will understand quite easily.
So how did you come up with the idea of Syntech Associates?
We started Syntek when we were at the university as first-year computer science students. We'd do work for organizations on a private or personal basis, but in order to get paid, you would have to invoice or present your payment requisition as a company. So these organizations found it hard to pay private individuals relatively large sums of money at the time, and we were forced to make use of other people's companies, which would then introduce issues of how much do you share with them and how much do you retain. And some people were not as easy to work with. So we found it more convenient to open up our own company and make use of it in invoicing and transacting with our corporate customers. And for a long time, we operated it as a briefcase company, doing our work through it and getting paid through it. So it was not a full-time venture.
So basically, that means that you started the company while you had a job on the side. Was that the case?
Yes and no. We started as students. And then when we finished our studies at the university, we took up formal employment with other organizations, but Syntek remained in the background. As I said, as a briefcase company. It's not until 2009 that we actually decided to take off with the premises and the formal company structure with employees on a full-time basis, and regularization of our tax affairs and our corporate identity. That Syntek now became a full-time venture for me as a person. My advice to any entrepreneur, anybody starting up a new idea, is to take it one step at a time, build up things gradually, and have a long-term vision, have short-term objectives, but whatever you do not risk too much at once, because when you start up something and it fizzles out, that represents wasted resources and wasted time, which you could also justify by saying that it was a lesson. But in any case, it is more important to nurture success as opposed to risk it all out at once. So a step-by-step approach is what I advocate for, because at the end of the day, when you go step by step, you're able to understand risks and you're able to manage them. You are more in control of whatever you're doing. And if things do not go well, you still have an opportunity to shut down the company or the venture gracefully, as opposed to suddenly finding yourself at a location or at a point where you are stranded and you don't even understand how you got there.
And how has the IT landscape changed from the time you started Syntek? How much has the environment evolved? Well,
the environment keeps evolving. That is nature. What I'd point out markedly two things. One is the so-called consumerization of IT, where ordinary people who are not exactly IT specialists are able to learn about technology and make use of it. You could look at things like smartphones, things like the internet becoming a part of everyday life, security incidents being publicized in mainstream media. So the average person now knows a lot more about IT and the issues out there compared to maybe 5-10 years ago. And so when you are an IT service provider, you have to be on top of your game. You have to do the research. You have to be able to take on a lot of challenges. People will challenge you on technology. People will challenge you on solutions. People will challenge you, especially on what they want vis-a-vis what you're providing and what they think they should be getting.
Do you think that software in the long term might replace IT guys? By that I mean, if you look at something like websites, back in the day, the only way you could get a website was through a website guy. But now we have, these website builders where anyone can create a website, even if they don't have skills. The same applies to things like apps. It's becoming easier and easier to do some of the things that were initially complex. So it seems as though certain jobs within the IT industry are being phased out by the technology itself.
I think that is correct. If you do not have the ability to read where the market is going and improve or to change accordingly, then you find yourself in a situation where customers no longer come to you because they can do the things for themselves. It's part of that is the so-called consumerization of IT, which I alluded to earlier. The industry changes rapidly, and you have to keep on top of the game. You have to do your research. You have to enter into new frontier technologies. You have to be able to adapt to what the customers want. You cannot be static and expect business to come your way. Things are getting tighter, but I guess they've always been getting tighter. It's the nature of the game.
What are the best moments you've had at Syntek? Your happiest moments?
Well, Happiest moments, I wouldn't like to name customers, but there are times when you get a deal and some of the biggest companies in the world retain you to do work, and you really feel that it's an achievement. Everybody would kill or die to work for that particular organization, and when they give you a chance to work, it's really a happy moment. You are able to actually say that we did this for such and such a customer, and it is an accomplishment. But more importantly, I think the happiest moment I had was when Syntek took off as a full-fledged company, and we finally got out of that briefcase style of doing things. We established premises, we had the full-time staff, and we formalized all our business obligations with the tax body and the register of companies. And so Syntek took off with its own identity, and it could sustain itself. Yeah, that was really a milestone.
Now, before you started the business, sometimes in our heads, we imagine only the good things when we're going to start a business venture. Is there anything in terms of management, after establishing the company, as you've said, formally, something that you found yourself having to do that surprised you? You probably didn't expect to find yourself doing that, a role or a task that caught you by surprise?
Well, I think having to take charge of the company finances and being responsible for doing the management of the finances kind of caught me off guard. I did not anticipate that it would be so important and so hard, because my training is IT, computer science. Dealing with finances really stretched me, and I realized that I did not have that particular skill. We actually had to bring in part-time accountant and a part-time auditor to boost our ability to deliver. We had to implement a financial management system at a relatively high cost. And my partners at the time did not believe in this, but it was something that we had to do. It was painful. It's something that we had to do, and we did not anticipate that it would be, that hard or that painful. But at the end of the day, when I look back, it has enabled us to be a very stable organization. The actual day-to-day survival of the company being hinged on how well you manage your finances. That is something that I look back and see that,
And what's the most important thing you look out for in your business? Which element of it is crucial for you?
I think for me, my focus is on service delivery and meeting the customer's expectations. We really exist because we're a customer-focused organization. We go out to customers and work with them at their premises, work on their business challenges and their IT challenges, and try to deliver kind of service that they expect, and also to, I'd say, try and exceed their expectations so that we can be able to have a long-term relationship with them, to be trusted as a business partner. So customer service and service delivery is my primary focus.
For anyone listening who is an aspiring entrepreneur, based on your experience, what advice would you give them?
I think one, you should do your research before you start. Don't ever stop doing your research. Research is important because it allows you to understand the market before you get in, but also allows you to continue to have the right level of understanding as the market changes, as it evolves. But also one should plan to face challenges, I believe. Put in place mechanisms to ensure that when a challenge comes up, you're able to face it. What would I mean by saying plan to expect challenges? First of all, in your mind, in your heart, psychologically, you need to be aware that not every day is a hard day and problems will come. Some problems are internal. You may have issues with your partners. You may have issues with your customers. You may have issues with your staff. While other problems fall upon you, the government or regulation might change, and you have to adapt, or you suffer greatly. It's important to have a mindset where you are ready or plan for the worst, expect the best.
Earlier you mentioned a few of your role models, business-wise. You mentioned Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. If you had an audience with each one of them, what questions would you ask them?
I think I love stories. So I would really want to hear their story. How did they go from the idea to getting started, and when they got started, how did they build up that success on a day-to-day basis? What principles did they take up? What did they find as the most important thing to do? For example, when dealing with customers, or when dealing with finances, or when dealing with actual performance management in the company.
And if you were the host of this podcast show and I was your guest, what one question would you ask me?
I would ask you, where do you think the industry is going? Where do you think the economy is going? Where is the money?
Let me guarantee you will get that answer by listening to more of these podcasts, because the interviews I'm doing will definitely give you the answer to that question.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you?
We have a website, www.syntekug.com. We have another website, syntechafrica.com, www.syntekafrica.com. On Twitter, our handle is @syntechug.
All right, thank you so much. I'll put all those on the show notes page so that people can access them and connect with you. Thanks once again, Bernard, for your time, and have a lovely day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for listening to Business Mike today. And if you'd like to listen to more episodes just like this one, simply go to businessmike.com. For all the links and resources mentioned in this particular episode, simply type the name Bernard into the search bar to access his show notes page. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, take care.